Here we go. So welcome everybody to the Green Screen project's presentation as part of EU Greenweek. My name is Mati Alam. I'm from Film London, who's the lead partner of the Green Screen project. And I've already handled the housekeeping. There is no fire exits that I need to tell you anything about. I hope you know your fire exits at home. I will just hand you over to Francisco Salas, the CEO of Green Screen partner Por Malaga in the south of Spain and Andalusia, who will welcome you before we start the presentations and the running order of today. Francisco, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Mati. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start my speech with a few thanks. First of all, thanks to the European Commission for promoting the celebration of the European Green Week every year and for giving us the opportunity to have this networking session to share experiences. I also want to thank the Film London, of course, for having coordinated the organization of this session. And last but not least, thanks to the rest of the partners of the European Green Screen project for their support, always. And to all the audience, of course. I have to say that I'm very happy being here today, representing Pro Malaga and the city of Malaga, the south of Spain, the south of Europe. And it's precisely in sessions for reflection like this, where you can take stock of everything we have achieved as a partnership, but also understand how participation in this project has helped us to place Malaga as a city at the forefront of sustainable filming. The Green Screen project is an exceptional example of how the exchange of good practices between regions of the European Union can accelerate and mutually benefit a better and greener Europe, and of course, a better and greener cities, as we want to be. I am proud that as a result of the work carried out by the project and by Pro Malaga these years in this European project, the city of Malaga has approved its own sustainable production seal, something unbelievable some years ago. This is one more reason to attract productions to Malaga, in addition to the excellent conditions, logistics, and climate, yes, the weather, that the city already offered to be the best outdoor shooting set in Europe. Well, I would like not to extend my welcome speech any longer and give the floor to the speakers because we want to listen to the project results. So thanks again to all who are listening today for your time and interest. And Mati, let's continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francisco. This is usually the time where people applaud after a nice speech. So thank you very much. These are really kind words. And we're delighted to be part of the EU Green Week this year, really. And just to give you a very quick overview of the Green Screen partnership, and then I will introduce you to all our speakers here today. And just to let you know, at the end of the speaking slots, there will be an opportunity to ask questions in the chat. Feel free to put your questions in there throughout the presentations, but we will be addressing them at the end. So just to say, you know, Green Screen, we are in a Interreg Europe funded project. You have here the wonderful partnership consisting of a mix of regional development agencies and film commissions and film agencies. We've been working on this project for the last 5 years now, and it's really exciting to see how sustainability is really galvanizing and becoming more and more important part of everybody's agenda. So it's great to see that. Our mission is really to inspire and educate the film industry to become more sustainable and introduce sustainable practices and reduce the environmental impact where possible. I know we have a great mix of people here on the call. So what do we mean by film production? It's really how the films are made. That's on location in the studio, post-production, before people see it in the cinema, basically. The areas we've been looking at in green screen of what the environmental impacts are, and you will see that coming through the speakers, is really very similar of what your personal environmental impact is, but it's just on a different scale, obviously, on a production. This is transport here, flights if people come to your country to shoot, or transport to the places that you're shooting. Energy, consumption, food, accommodation, and waste. Of the last 5 years, the Green Screen Partnership has really developed a huge amount of resources, and I'd really encourage you to go to our website on Interreg Europe /Green Screen, and you'll find a good amount of good practices and case studies, because that's really was at the heart of our work in Green Screen, to do learning from each other and exchange good practice and implement those good practices as well, as you will hear in a moment. We've got a lot of commissioned reports there, innovation practices that Benoit Ruiz, who's here on the call as well, has developed for us to look at innovation practices that can be transferred to the film production industry. A carbon assessment a carbon assessment report done by Sequoia, led by our partner in Paris, and other really interesting and useful resources for you if you are keen to work in this area. So today you will hear from really 3 fantastic speakers, and I'm delighted to say we've been working together for the last 5 years, in and out, for me a little bit, because I've had a break from green screen and I'm back at it. So we will start the presentation with Luz Molina from Málaga, who's going to talk us through a pilot project, the European Carbon Calculator tool, Eureka, before we then hear from Joana Gallardo from Film Paris Région on circular economy on film productions, and closing us off, Daniela Kirchner, my colleague at Film London, who is going to talk to you about the GRID project, which is also a pilot project about renewable energy cabinets for film productions in London. I will stop sharing my screen now and hand over to you in a moment to Luz. I would really like to encourage you to use a hashtag today if you want to tweet or talk about this event. My colleague Lotta is posting this here in the chat, EU Greenweek and Green Screen EU. And I'm really delighted to hand you over now to Luz Molina, who's our colleague in Málaga, who is going to talk to you about Eureka. Over to you, please, Luz.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And I'm going to try to share my screen. Could you see it? Okay.
Yes.
So I would like to start this presentation with a question. Why? So why we propose this pilot action to the European Union? At that point, after 3 years, and we have finished phase 1 of Green Screen, we have some clear ideas. And we didn't want to create the wheel for sure, but we did have some good conclusions and information about what kind of tool Europe needed. So, based on conclusions that the work that Matti already mentioned, that it was developed by Sequoia. Actually, I have seen Charles here. Hi, Charles. From the result of that study, we realized that there were already a lot of existing calculators all around Europe. Those calculators cover some of them part of the phases of the shooting. Some of them cover some fields, but not all of them. And conversion factor were based basically in each region, like Spain have calculators, so the conversion factor for the Spanish calculator won't based on Spanish conversion factor. So if somebody else wants to come to Spain and make a shooting, they can use that, but it cannot be extended to their region. So that was actually like a big gap. we also realized that it was very nice to try to develop something that it could be used by co-production, so with international focus. And we also conclude that it was extremely important to be able to link Europe, like the budget of the production, with the impact in CO2 that the production had. It was also very important to be able to have a tool that can be used in the most of language all around Europe. And definitely it was extremely important to have a tool that it could be uniform. So you can compare results even though the shooting were taking place in different regions of the continent. So how we define Eureka. From the original partnership of Green Screen, there were 3 partners, like Promala, it's leading this pilot action. We also have count like Slovak Field Commission and Fund from that region, and Flanders Audiovisual Fund. Since the very beginning, we want to have on board an academic partner. So based on the good relationship that Flanders Audiovisual Fund have with Catholic University of Leuven, they were involved like basically since point zero on this, because for us was extremely important that we can count on some expert on sustainability, and the database that Eureka is based on, it was developed by somebody with a scientific base, so it could be a reliable tool. So we take all the learning from the partnership and the phase 1 that we have, that I already said that we have been working for 3 years, and also the conclusion of Sequoia study. And our main goal for this pilot action was try to deliver an uniform European Union tool for audiovisual productions, but not only, but also to the funds. Because for us, this is a way also to close the circle. Because sometimes for the funds, it's definitely really complicated to be able to accept that a production had been implementing sustainable criteria in the shooting, but using Eureka, it's an easy way that production can prove that they did great job, and fund can also check that they did it with an objective tool. Timing of this pilot action, we started in 2020. It was actually not a really good year to start because of the COVID situation. So we were planning to have more face-to-face meeting, but that was unluckily impossible. But we were working very hard in 2020, and we keep working very hard in 2021. And we are hoping that, like in 1 month or something like that, we will be able to have like final version that can be tested, and by the end of the year, Eureka will be like public for everybody, and it could be used, and it will be free. So I really like to share this slides because this is a Swiss knife. This have also like internet joke in a Eureka partnership because Tim, the guy from BAF, he's really expert on knife. And this is a really good way to show what we want to do with Eureka, because a Swiss knife, it's a very useful tool, but because it can be used for different purpose. So that's exactly what we want to do with Eureka. So what we want to deliver? We want to deliver a tool that can help companies not only focused on evaluating reporting emissions, but also helping them to make better decisions during the planning, because planning the shooting, it's key to be able to make the whole process more sustainable. Convert factor in a uniform and consistent way and in a European level. So we are trusting that final result of Eureka can be used for European institutions, and it can be a really good way to promote that the audiovisual sector can be greener. Also, we want to create a tool that can be used to consolidate data, so you can compare different projects, and with different regions, the result of the project can be compared because the conversion data are based in a common database. And definitely we want to do something that it could be friendly, intuitive, and easy to use. And that's it for us extremely important, because if the calculator or the tool that you use is too complicated, that it's also generating like rejection from production. So that's why for us, be friendly was also one of our key points for the tool. So we have been working hard, and we are going to deliver soon the public website of the Eureka. So in this public website, you can find general information about where is Eureka, general information also about green filming, about the partnership that we are promoting this initiative. And in this website, you can also have access to the back office of the tool. And in that back office, you can add your project, make your measure, also send to the funds. So funds can also check the project directly through the tool, and everything will be happening here. So this will be a website, so it could be accessible for all institutions and projects and all around Europe. And this is also another internal joke. This is our A team. And our A team was for us basic, and that's why, because for our experience, we conclude that sometimes European projects are very ambitious, but they are not taking into account key stakeholders. And because of that, we want to involve all the key stakeholders from each region, and also invite some others from other regions of Europe, so we can deliver a thing that is going to be useful from all the perspectives. And without them, the final result of Eureka, it couldn't be a reality. And I would like to take the chance to say thanks to all of them, because their feedback and their support, it had been very useful for us to be able to develop this pilot action. And that's basically what I want to share for you today. So you have a general email from Eureka, and this is the member of the team. So if you want to have any further information about Eureka, or you want to be also part of our A team, you can send us an email. We will love to include you there, and I will also delighted to answer your question if you have some, when all the presentation will be over. So thank you so much for your attention. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
That's fantastic, Luz. I think you've beautifully shown the value of exchange and partnership on a European level and what it can really bring. And the A team is also a symbol of you have different skills. When you bring different skills and knowledge to one team, something good comes out of it. And Eureka is definitely a testament to that. And also it's a fantastic opportunity on a European level to adopt that calculator once it is launched. So I'd really encourage you to follow the development of the tool. Thank you so much, Luz. I'd like to now introduce you to our second speaker, Joanna Gallardo from the Film Paris region, who's going to talk to us about circular economy on productions, and our partner in Paris has been really trailblazing on reducing the environmental impact of productions with EcoProd, and I'm delighted that Joanna can share her experience on circular economy here with you today. Joanna, over to you, please.
Thank you, Mati. Hello, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here in the frame of the Greenweek. Alors, just a few seconds to upload. Voilà. Can you see the presentation? Yeah. Okay.
Just yes, we can.
The screen. Voilà. So thanks to this very intense and inspiring project that is Green Screen and the wonderful partner, we decide to go deeper into the circular economy topic. Because there is a lot of things to do regarding that in the AVP sector. So we decide to launch a project called Circulart 2, because they were first part 3 years ago, a study we did. And we want to encourage professionals in the cultural sector of the region to use the best tool and the best practices in terms of eco-design, of set and waste management. And we realized that there is a real need of re-identify directors who share the same issue between sectors. That's why we not only working with the AVP sector, but also with the living art, the theater and so on. And that it's really important to get a territory, a local approach to tackle the issue. So thanks to this project, we want to identify the best practices, working in favor of this objective, and really raising awareness. And also have a concrete pilot project in the studio, because this is a hub. All the production company are shooting there, so it's the very interesting place to test. So this project was born from the different different projects, the EcoProd, the national project that aimed to sensibilize the French AVP sector about its environmental impact. Green Screen, of course, I just told you. And also thanks to the set managers and pro manager organization that are really active in France regarding being green. So they bring also a lot of feedback from the set. We identified 3 issues: the lack of awareness about eco-design and waste management. This is something quite new for the AVP sector. It's much more developed in some of the sectors, so we want to get experience exchange with the other sector and share it to ours. There is a real lack, at least in France, of practical, centralized, and accessible information for all the film crew, because they are not working on a daily basis on the company. They are working in a project and another project with some other people in different places. So it's quite difficult for them to get access to centralized information easily. And of course, I would say maybe the main issue is the logistical problem, recovery, the storage, short times, and also the geographical dispersion, because as you know, there could be different film set on the shooting, so it's really an issue. Also, something that is really important and that we talk about and discover in the frame of one of our staff exchange in the frame of Green Screen is the issue of the materials. So there is not only I would say production issue, there is also issue that is for everybody, is the raw material. So in this chart, this picture, you can see the time frame of the different materials or energy, metals, and so on. If you are born in 2010, and how long they were left on Earth. So there is a real issue about the availability, of those materials. So when we look at this picture, we're really quite shocked, and we say we have to move on, and we have really to work on circular economy and reuse the available materials. I want to share with you some additional figure. Apart that we are a quite active region in terms of shootings, we also found out in 2020, thanks to an EcoProd study, that the French AVP sector emits 1.7 million tons of CO2. And among that, there is, of course, the film impact. And among the film impact, 1/5 is about the set management and the waste. So there is this department has a role to play to reduce the carbon impact of the sector. But we found out that 40% of the waste from the performing art and the audiovisual sector, at least in our region, has an unknown outlet. it means that we don't know how to recycle them, how to use them after being used. So it's quite a lot. And we really want to be sure that is a way to reduce this number and to reuse those materials, or to recycling or upcycling. There is different way of reusing it. I just told you about the 1/5 of the impact. We found out that on average, on the, I would say, medium French film 5 million budget, there are 15 tons of waste, mostly set per film. So it's quite a lot. Imagine that there are about 400 movies that have been made in France. So it's quite a lot. So there is a lot of space and to work on it. So yeah, there is a significant potential for reuse and recovery of set. I just share with you on this slide a picture of a prop renter that are existing for such a long time, but it's really important for us as a film commission to promote them, because you can rent the props, so use it for the shooting, then give it back to the renter, and they restore it. So it's really circular economy. So there is already existing solution. We don't really need necessarily to find a new innovation, but to promote the existing solution. What is a key element in our region and to help to promote the circular economy is really to work with the recycling center, the reuse center, and better if they are linked to the cultural sector. So we found that 3 of them are already on our territory. The first, La Réserve des Arts et la Ressourcerie du Spectacle, are more linked to the cultural sector in general. The first one is gathering materials from the industry, from the fashion, from some fabrics and so on, and they sell it back on a cheaper price to students, film school, art school, shootings, for the theater also. La Ressourcerie du Cinéma is really dedicated to the AVP sector, and they gather the set at the end of the shooting and resell the set or part of the set of some material. So they sell it to new set manager or for a new film, and they get a lot of materials, and it's increasing a lot. To know more what we were talking about, and to be able to deliver relevant tools for the professional, we did a study this autumn to get the temperature of the film professional, and what about the eco best practices. And it's really linked to the issue that we talked about in the beginning, that there is such a lack of training, of sensibilization, of sharing information. At the end of this slide, you can see 99% will be interested in a dedicated eco-design training. So it means that there is a lot of things to do regarding school and training and changing habits. But there are also a lot of hopes. I just want to mention that 50% of the professionals have no knowledge of the ecological qualities of the material that are used. So this is a question that most of the time they don't have time to ask themselves, where from which forest this wood is coming. I am using a glue that is toxic or not. They don't have time, and there is a real need to do some research about that. But yeah, about the positive point, 91% believe that the studio is the best place to implement eco-design, because this is a kind of a hub. It's a place, a building where people are meeting, where people are shooting. A lot of people is coming to the studio, so you can implement different bins to recycle the waste. You can do put some panels, some sensibilization, fact sheet on the studio to do some sensibilization, And also it's a place where people can exchange, and we can also, it's a place where you can store some material, some old sets. So we think that it's really the place where we can start the work. Also, 72% believe that more than about 30% of the set could be reused, removed. This is a quite positive sign. I won't go through all the figure, but you will get the presentation at the end. Starting from this study, we decide to share some recommendation for the film industry. For today, I only share with you recommendation only dedicated to circular economy, but there are much more about the way you produce a film, the way you finance it, the way you organize your team, you train your team. But I just want to quickly share with you those one. Just okay. So the need of expertise, sharing information again. Again, the need for training professional. There is also a need to take into account the accessibility and the distance and the grouping of set. So really, when you organize your shooting, to check where are the location, where are the preparation place. Of course, it means that you need to extend the preparation time for a better implementation of eco-design of set or a waste management strategy. It's really important to plan it in advance and not to decide at the end of the shooting when everybody is tired, it's midnight, where I will put my waste. No, you really have to work on it before to find some provider, some reuse center, and so on. And really improve the quality between the decoration team, the stage management, but also the production. It's not only the production team that should work on that, it's the whole team. And there is also, well, as I told you, a need for referencing as complete as possible about the materials, the polluting product, again, to do some research, to share it. And Greenweek already did a lot of sharing about some other topic, but it's really important. But also to test it, to test the new material, the innovative materials. Thanks to the Greenweek innovation work, we found that there are some cups that are made with coffee, that are stickers made thanks to the milk. Well, there are different innovative products that are not polluting and that could be used for the set management. Yeah, really, I think this is one of the key points. The need of a temporal and financial means for rational routine of the furniture and accessories after use, during and after the shooting, to go to circuit of reuse, recycling, and storage. And then I'm finished. To raise awareness about circular economy and to promote the innovative solutions that are already existing, we did a short movie talking about two initiatives. One organization that is gathering the fabrics, the costume at the end of the shooting, and they repair it and keep it, and it's available to be rented afterward. And we also an interview of the La Ressourcerie des Cinémas, I just told you before. We won't see the movie now, but I will share the link on the chat, and you will be able to watch it. There are English subtitles. And I just share with you, we will share it later on, but some links and some guidelines. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please.
Fantastic, Joanna. This was a really great overview of the good work you've been doing and what you found in Paris, and some good practice there as well. And also just to visualize the amount, the impact that waste has on a production. 1/5 is quite still significant and something to do about, but also very promising because, you know, the sector asks for training and wants to change. So that's a really, really positive step in the right direction. Thank you. If you have questions for Joanna, please, just a reminder, put them in the chat and we'll address these after the next presentation. I'm going to invite now my colleague Daniela Kirchner to speak about the second pilot project of Green Screen, which is called the Grid Project. And I'm delighted she'll be presenting this. I can also call Daniela my boss. I'm working very closely with her on the Grid Project, so I'll hand over to her. Daniela, please.
Hi, everybody. Very nice to see you all. I'm going to share screen. There we go. And make it big. So,
Yeah, looks good if you go back.
Started at the wrong end. There we go. I wanted to give a brief overview, and some of you may have already seen this, of the second pilot project we Interreg very kindly supported. I think we're very lucky in our partnership to have 2 pilot projects supported by the Interreg project. And before I delve into the detail of the project, for those of you who don't know Film London, we are sort of London's screen industries agencies. We're a charity. We work across film, TV, animation and games. In fact, we have sort of 3 brands behind our company, the Film London, the British Film Commission and Games London. But essentially, we are also a film commission, and this project, the Grid Project Films, fits very much into our Film Commission remit for London. It's about attracting inward investment and jobs to London, facilitating filming days, working in partnership with all the London agencies to make filming happening. And as you can see on screen, we have got 15,000 filming days in London per annum, and it can only happen if it becomes sustainable, and it needs to work for the residents, for the businesses, and for the film companies in the city. And we work across, you know, environmental and social sustainability, and we do a lot of work also through our Equal Access program around trying to improve the access to our industry for new entrants, mid-career professionals, and also returners to the industry. So coming now to the Grid, and this particular project has really come out of learning from WAF, and a project that Tim presented us with when we were on our first visit to Brussels. You see here a picture of a Flemish TV series shot for Catnet called Buck, and they were filming on location in a particular property, and therefore had the opportunity to plug a temporary electrical distribution box into the power supply, and therefore not use generators. And the reduction in carbon savings and the reduction in euros here, as the financial savings are on screen, it's significant, 93% and 20,000 euros. And that sort of inspired our thinking, because one of the key challenges that we have in London are our unit bases. And obviously every city has them, and they're a challenge for everybody. They're entirely powered right now by generators. And we sort of tried to start thinking around how we could scale up this best practice of plugging into the grid, but really sort of making it work for some of the key central London unit bases that support a lot of productions and are right in the center of London. And we have about 12 of them. So we looked at particular sites, and we did a feasibility to explore this. This pilot site that we are currently embarking on is the one in Victoria Park. You see here, Victoria Park is in the local authority of Tower Hamlets. Tower Hamlets is between the 2nd and the 3rd busiest local authority in London in terms of filming, depending on the years. There are a lot of big productions that have been shooting in the vicinity. It's very popular. And it's also used, the unit base itself is also obviously used by a lot of events. So we secured Interreg funding, but the other second funder that has come most importantly on board for this project is the Good Growth Fund of the Mayor of London. And we put an application into them for Victoria Park, but also some additional sites to which I will come back to later. So we secured their funding and support as well, which has really been a game changer for us of making this happen. And here's the very basic idea: putting electrical cabinets in place of the generators, those electrical cabinets being powered by renewable energy. Obviously, lots of discussions around the detail, around access, you know, having smart locks for crews to turn up at early hours of the morning to access these cabinets. There's a lot of detail to be worked through, and the pilot will actually be challenging because this is now when we are implementing it. We basically carried out a feasibility working with Arab and working also with Good Energy. And this was really just assessing what's happening in Victoria Park. And this is an example of 1 year of filming in Victoria Park, and the CO2 that has been emitted by the diesel generators, as well as the nitrogen oxide and the PM levels. And this is obviously very significant. And the feasibility we did demonstrated very clearly that, you know, we can reduce this to nil. And those of you, who are familiar with London will know that air pollution is a really massive challenge for London. We had last year the first death recorded to air pollution for a young child. And it's, something our mayor is fighting very hard against. And the generators, are a big issue in this scenario. So with the mayoral funding came also the sort of caveat and advantage that obviously these sites will also need to be used by the events industry. So whenever a unit-based site is used by the events industry, at that stage they will also have to use the cabinets. The use of the cabinets will be mandatory once they are in place. So where are we at the moment? We have a technical project manager in Arab. We have secured them through our procurement. The plan is to go live with Victoria Park this autumn. We're at the moment going through further procurement about connection providers. We have got the ambition to roll this out to 2 further sites, 2 more cabinets in Battersea Park and 2 in St. James's Park, which is the mall leading up to Buckingham Palace, right in the center of London. And we have got still a huge gap of fundraising to close. We're trying to do this, so whether we can roll it out is still to be confirmed. It's an expensive project because the physical cost of connecting to the grid and the trenching that's required to where the power network actually is the most expensive part in this project. So that's really an overview of the grid project, and thank you for listening.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much, Daniela. I'm always, although I'm working on the project myself, always fascinated with, it's a huge undertaking to install cabinets in a park, but it will be hugely beneficial as for all the reasons that Daniela has outlined, reducing pollution, improving air quality, and also reducing noise in the area is also a very good side benefit of this, as a matter of fact. And it's just great to have had that learning from our partner in Flanders, that has done it very differently, but that really sparked the idea, and the knowledge came from there. I'd like to now open the floor to questions. You can either put it in the chat. I had the first question here from Davut asking, I think this goes to the Eureka partnership. Davut is asking, we mainly discuss CO2 emissions and its impact. Can we also develop such calculators or other tools for other environmental impacts like biodiversity, land use change in the film industry? Tim has responded here. I don't know, Tim, do you want to respond for the benefit of the whole attendance?
He texts me. He's not longer.
Oh, he isn't. We lost him. Luz, are you happy to take that question?
Sure. As Tim answered in advance, Eureka is not only measuring CO2. it's also true that CO2 is the most common information that it's measuring, but it is not the only one. And the name of the tool, actually, European Environmental Calculator, it was named with that name because of we want to measure something else, not only CO2. That's why they said that we include 16 type of impact, not only CO2, but land use, water, health, acidity, and some others. So yeah, we try to also cover another fields, not only CO2 with the tool. But yeah, it was actually a good point. So thank you for the question.
Great, fantastic. I think Davut might be happy for that answer. Charles is asking again for Eureka, how will the reporting work of the data needed in the Eureka calculator? Someone in the production will be in charge of collecting all the data during the shooting?
The idea is that like producer will have like a admin role, so the producer can like add some other people from the team. So you can decide if you want to like maybe create the role of eco assistant or green runner inside of the set, or if not, you can delegate from each person in charge of each department that they have to include some information. It is up to the producer, but you are going to be able to have the chance to create different roles, and different role can include some certain amount of information for each department. We thought that that was the most easy way to do it, because if you force them to have one person have to collect everything, maybe it's going to be too much for them, and maybe they are not the expert from each department. So we can have both alternatives. So it could be just one person, or it could be different roles with different access and permit.
Okay, loads of questions coming in from Eureka here. We have two more here. Ludovica, sorry if I mispronounce your name, is asking, following on from that, are scope 2 and 3 emissions then calculated via other factors, or will it be direct CO2 and other measurements for indirect impact?
Before that, I will also point what Benoit said about life cycle assessment impact. That was actually another of the conversion data that we are using for Eureka. And scope 2 and scope 3 emissions. We are not, at least not in this point, going to be that further. So what we try to do now, it's based on the study that we have been doing, selecting which is more critical for set, because for sure you can always go deeper and deeper, but from our experience, there is so key fields inside of the set that they're definitely critical to measure. So we are be focused on that. So the other day, the team, we have this conversation about how far we want to go, because for example, like transport, it's key point in set. So we want to measure like the emissions from goods that it's transport to set. We want to measure the emission from transport of only people, things from the set, but they're transported by somebody else, or these things, because are not exactly inside of the set, shouldn't be counted for or part of the production. So it is actually a really good question, and it is kind of complicated to solve right now. We want to try to do as further and as deeper as we can, but definitely there is some certain thing that they have to be outside of the calculation, because otherwise it's never going to end. So we are trying to just focus on the key part of the set that have the biggest impact, and inside of those, the one that have more relation with the production. Because otherwise, it's going to look like audiovisual sector is terrible, because if you're counting more and more things, emissions, not exactly related with the production, it's going to be super terrible. And we don't want that either, at least not in this point.
Yeah, that Ludovica is very happy. Perfect, makes sense. Thank you. So thank you very much for the very extensive feedback. Before I open the questions to the other panelists, where there's one coming through to Joanna, actually. Joanna, are there any training programs for the set designers in France or somewhere else? Asks Alex.
Well, there are a few modules in some set designer school, but it's very few. So now we are doing a kind of a scan work to see which kind of organization could implement a dedicated training. In fact, there is a need for two training: general sensibilization about circular economy, pollution, waste management, and a very technical one, how to eco-design. And there are very just one or two, but more for architecture or event sector. So we want to implement some, not us, but find partner who will implement some in France.
That's really great. Thank you. There was another one question for Eureka. And there are actually two questions here. One from Julia: is Eureka working similar to Peach, connected to accounting? Peach is the American system of assessing your carbon footprint or your environmental impact. And then Davut is also asking in the same context, maybe Daniela can also chip in here, because we have experience of different calculators in the UK as well. Davut is asking, what will happen to other calculators in Europe as a customer? For example, how can I choose the best calculator? What's the difference between your calculator and other ones? Sorry for my many questions. Thanks. No, that's fine, Davut. That's what the question is. Question answer chat is for. So a lot of questions. Do you want to answer the Peach question there, Luz, for a moment?
Yeah, Eureka have like two levels of calculation. So based on budget, we are making a rough calculation. So you just need to introduce your budget, and that is making, as I said, as a rough calculation. And then you need to enter some certain extra information divided by phases, like pre-production, production, and post-production. For sure, if you start using Eureka before you start your shooting, that will help you to plan better. And the idea is that based on your budget, the accuracy of the question are helping you also to make better decisions on the planification of your shooting. So yeah, it's based on budget. I don't know, because I haven't used this Peach. So I guess that it should works pretty much the same, connecting with the money that you are investing and the different fields that you are planning to spend that money. I don't know if Daniela want to answer the question related with different calculator. For sure, I have to promote Eureka. So I'm going to say that our tool is the best, but this is not about exactly being the best or not. It is about the purpose of because definitely if you want to prove that you have been doing things great, Eureka can help you if, for example, the fund that you are applying, it's using Eureka. So for that purpose, you need to use Eureka. I don't think there is like some certain thing as the best calculator right now. What we pretend to do is have a tool that is uniform. Doesn't mean that if you are, for example, you're just shooting in France, that you can use French calculator and that will give you better result. It's basically depend on the needs that you have. So because of the needs that you have, you can use one or the other. That's, I think.
Daniela, do you want to say a few words on, because in the UK we have several calculators, the experience.
Of course, I can't disagree with Lucy. No, but joking aside, I think, Eureka is setting out to do some things that haven't necessarily been done, because it's looking really at co-producing across Europe. It's looking at the wider environmental impact, and it's really looking at being low cost and accessible and user friendly. And if Eureka can achieve it, that's a great step forward, and that helps us all in Europe to harmonize processes. I'm not the best person to answer probably about carbon calculators, because we might not stand enough about it. But the way I see it is that we are all measuring in different places the same things. And that, you know, I see in the UK a lot of inward investment productions that are working with their in-house calculators. The UK has got also Albert, which is a great calculator. We have a green screen certification scheme in from London, and our consultants use their in-house calculator. Germany works with Klimaaktiv, EcoProd, you know, so many calculators out there. And in the end, does it matter? Personally, I'm not sure, as long as it's user-friendly, as we measure all the same things, and we are actually reducing our carbon footprint, because I think the main thing is you want to have a tool that helps you reduce and then record what you're doing and, you know, gives you the guidance to do it. Because, you know, I've always sort of said from the beginning of embarking in these topics, I can weigh myself every day and I will weigh the same as long as I don't go on a diet. It's not changing or do some sports or something. So I feel it's the measurement tool is just one of the many things we need to do. So I don't feel we need to get too fixed on calculators in the end, but it's a very useful tool. And I really think that the ambitions of Eureka are fantastic, but I know also there are other great tools out there across Europe and in the UK and everywhere that have also a role to play.
Great, thank you very much. And somebody asked about the Eureka website. You can Eva put a link in the chat there. Once the Eureka site is published, we will link that back there. So do follow us on our green screen channels as well. And if you use those hashtags that Lotta shared earlier, you will find us very easily. There was another question. I think we're going to wrap up. We only have 2 minutes left, and I don't want to stretch you over there's a lot of things going on your Greenweek, so you might have other things you want to chat or go to. Davut is asking, so based on the film company's budget, we will mitigate emissions? Is that what we are promoting? Is that the question? Who wants to take that on the floor?
I guess that maybe I didn't explain myself clearly enough. So it's not exactly that based on a film company budget, you reduce or mitigate the GHG emissions. It's like based on the amount of money that you are investing, but not film company budget, but the production budget, like concrete production. The main problem with audiovisual sector is that it doesn't matter how well you do as an audiovisual company. Each production is like if you start and finish whole process, and each process is different. That's why it's so complicated to create some certain standards, because each production is different from each other. So what we try to do is like, imagine that you have this budget for our productions and you are putting like, I'm going to spend 10K on transport. We want to know why are you spending that amount of money on transport, because maybe that means that you have some different locations. So the tool is going to recommend you like, hey, if you try to reduce location, you are also going to reduce and mitigate the GHG emission that your production is generating to the environment. Because if you are reducing that, or you are finding more close location, you are, in one hand, investing less money on transport, because definitely you need to transport less things and to different places. And you are also to reduce the impact that your production is having, because you don't have to move that amount of people and goods for your set. So that is what I'm trying to explain, that we are going to base that on budget, because if there is going to be some average about the different things that you need to cover in a production, and if some of those are too high, we are going to ask you, the tool is going to make further question about that, because maybe that's help you to plan in a better way how your production should be.
That's a really good answer there. I think we're coming to an end now. I think there's a really good comment at the end from Ludovica. Are there any prospects of implementing a request requirement suggestion to use Eureka by EU funding? somehow regulating without monopoly, just nudging, you know. I think that would be great if you guys nudge the Commission and your partners wherever they are, because I think with the EU Green Deal, it's really, you know, EU funding needs to catch up as well to, you know, be aware of its environmental impacts, mobility schemes, etc. So I know there are conversations in the Commission around that in all the Creative Europe programs, whether it's media or culture. So Ludwika, go ahead and nudge. That would be great. We'd be delighted about all of your support. And I think this brings us to an end of today. We were really happy that you joined us today at the EU Green Week and hearing all about green screen. Just a little plug. This is the final year of Green Screen. We will be holding a conference in the autumn. So do follow us. We'll be announcing the dates very soon. And we'd be delighted to see you there, probably virtually. And this is it. I hope you all I can't really do a round of applause because it'll be awkward, but maybe just as a final thing, do you want to unmute yourself and say goodbye in your home language that you have joined us here from? And then we'll see each other very soon. Yeah? Thank you very much. If you want to mute and say bye in your language.
Tack.
Hej då!
Hej då!
Hej då!
Ciao.
Tschüss!
Thank you, everyone. And happy afternoon to you.